Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Gato.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until I finally found that pot of coins at the end of the rainbow.
Pot of gold, right?
Yeah, and then I can just run away and do my own thing, be a hermit.
If you are new to Gettle, welcome to one of the internet's favorite places for gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle news, reviews, and previews, all wrapped up in a wonderful...
I wanted to say loot box, but I couldn't think
You
of
always say
anything
loot
more
box,
popular.
like every
not popular, but
time. Anyway,
I don't know what's a good thing. A good geeky package.
if you're not new, welcome back, bitches. Today it is our 46th concurrent episode, or better known as episode 4 of season 2, and we have our general outlay of reviews, previews, content, and NSFW.
Ooh.
How are you doing, it?
I'm good. A little bit of pain this morning, but it's. I'll live. How about you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually doing a lot better. For those of you who've been listening, you know that I have a couple of back issues, but I've been doing a lot of Apple Fitness yoga, and it's working. Like, I think I've just been very tight in terms of the muscles, and so the yoga movements are allowing me to, contort into weird and wonderful positions that allow me to stretch muscles that I don't normally stretch. so it's been helping immensely, and so things are good. A lot more pain free than before. So yeah, things are good. Good times.
That's good.
Good times.
That's great.
Okay, let's go straight into it.
Mm.
So for those of you who remember season 2, episode 3, so last week's episode, you'll know that we reviewed the MediaBox Maverick. And of course, during that episode, we had a few questions, which Edward is now going to be so kind to answer. And they were namely, can you sideload an APK because does it run full Android? Number 1. And number 2, if you're using PLEX, does it work with Google's voice assistant? So Ed, any updates?
So using Plex with the voice assistant does not work as well. It launches Plex and that's it. You can't log into your respective account using it. You can't go to the show you were watching using it. It literally just opens Plex into the last known page it's saved at. If it was still running in the background. If it wasn't, it just opens Plex to the main page. In terms of the APK, I cannot tell you, unfortunately. We had...
Tisk.
Yeah, I wanted to save it for the weekend because obviously I have much more time to troubleshoot. Apex, the kind people who served us the device to begin with, they wanted it back, obviously, because other
naturally.
reviews
this is how reviews work. For those of you who think we get to keep the goods, it's very, very, very not very often that we get to.
It's very seldom. Yeah. So they asked for it back, and I was like, okay, cool. Let me just wipe it for you guys. And the moment I started the wiping process, which the formatting process or resetting process, it fainted on me. It just died. So that was quite a hassle, I think. What can I say? So I had to go into Google.com and remove the
that moment when you accidentally break a review item.
Yep. Thankfully, and I will give Apex credit, they are very good guys, and
they're
they did
good.
help
Good team.
us. So
good team.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a little bit to add to the whole Plex thing. So I asked you, obviously, last week when we spoke about the MediaBox Maverick about, could you do it on Android TV?
Yeah.
So this week, there was actually an update from Plex about using voice integration and Apple TV integration for Apple products. Namely, for anyone who's used to Apple TV, now, specifically the app, not necessarily the MediaBox, you'll know that it aggregates things that you watch from online channels, whether it's Netflix is one of the few that doesn't support it, but it's more so like Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO. Let's say you're watching something. What will happen is if you're using the Apple TV app or an Apple TV device, it'll populate your recently watched with it. And then you can actually use Siri to jump back into those things. Now, Plex recently announced that they're enabling that, but not for user-generated content. It's specifically for their library of TV and movies. And they actually detailed that a little bit more. And it goes into the fact that the reason why they can't enable that function on Apple TV Plus is because Apple needs a list or a catalog of what is being offered so that when you use Siri or when you use the service, it communicates with Apple's servers and it brings down the results. So it's actually not a local element. Now, I'm assuming that could be entirely possible or the same scenario for Android TV, whereby you don't know what a user has, so therefore you can't submit that to Google Voice in order for it to process it. It's an interesting scenario. I personally feel that this could be done. Why should things always require the internet in order to be processed, specifically from a voice perspective? I was actually under the impression that Apple was moving to more of a device-based processing solution. I know Google never will because they need your information to sell. But my understanding is Apple was doing that. So maybe in the future they'll allow that, because Plex already scrapes metadata for content that you have. So in my opinion, it would be easy for a local assistant to also scrape that metadata and then serve it to you as the person who's watching.
That's cool.
Okay?
That's very, very cool. Yeah. And that'll also kind of bypassing the whole assistant thing because now they can make up their own solutions and stuff, which is nice.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Ed, I got a question for you. I have to ask you this. So with these, media boxes and stuff like that, do you ever use them for other than their intended purpose? And by that, I mean, other than watching content on them, If you need an example, like on my side with Apple TV, they have really great live screensavers. So sometimes it's nice just to leave that up, regardless of whether somebody's watching or not.
Well, actually, a personal experience. I've been using YouTube. I've just been playing videos, like 4K. There's 4K 120 frame second videos. I've just been playing constantly on my TV via the YouTube app on Xbox. So when I got the MediaBox for review, it actually had some great wallpapers, but it wasn't dynamic wallpapers. So I let that play in the background. So I don't know. Personally, I just do the video thing, just constant video.
Well, for those of you who are out there who might be interested in something, if you are a subscriber to Netflix, they actually have things like fireplaces that you can put on and leave on. And they're actually quite cool. So as South Africans, we don't have very cold winters. So there's never a need to actually run a fireplace. Now, the next best thing, and this is actually what I want to talk about, and this is how I'm leading it in, is I recently purchased some new candles by a company called WoodWick, which I didn't realize at the time is actually I think a division of Yankee Candle. Now, I'm a huge, huge, huge fan. Now, we've spoken many times about candles in the past. We absolutely want to get the vagina-scented candles because we need to know what these things smell like. So we will let you know eventually when that happens. But in the interim, and in terms of, fireplaces and how we don't have them, etc., etc., and this is not sponsored at all. This is just because I love candles. These WoodWick candles are sensational. They actually have this special wick, I guess, in the name WoodWick, which when you light it, it actually crackles like a fireplace. It's actually super, super cool. And I bought recently this week for my room. And although there's no such thing as smell-o-vision or whatever, it's really amazing right now. And I'm very in a happy place.
That's dope. That's actually super cool.
Right? Yeah. Now, with great sense on the mind, and sense as in not common sense, but the sense of smell, I also invested in some new kofefe for Edward to try out because he's at the Famous studio 90% of the time. And so I needed to replenish the coffee stock. As you can see, if you're watching the video, Edward has him standing in the back. If you can't see it, essentially, it's this company called Terbodore. And they produce, coffee from around the world, but also some local roasts. But they also do some really unique and wonderful things with their coffee. And one of those is actually a carbonated drink, which Edward is going to tell us a little bit more about, and also the flavors and stuff that they come in.
Yeah, so the Terbodore, I've always been interested because it's super colorful. It's the brand thrives on their color.
Right? So nice. It's pastel. For those of you who can't see it, it's like pastel blue, pastel pink, pastel green, pastel yellow, pastels.
Pretty much.
They make life better.
They really do. Pastel colors are always nice. So I've only tried out a few of the colors thus far of the cans and the pods. And so far, my first experience has not been exceptional. It's not been good. It's not. It's just there. It's just
average.
Any other flavored
a pretty
coffee,
average experience.
I would say. Yeah, especially the pods.
Really?
Specifically the purple pods. I was quite keen.
Oh no, that's so disappointing.
Yes, I haven't tried them all yet, to be fair. So we'll see next week.
Okay.
By next week, I will have tried them all. There are, I think, 6 colors in total of the pods. And of the cans, the carbonated cans, there are only 3 colors. So it's the
look, I'm
pink,
assuming
the yellow, and the blue.
Every color means something different, right? Do you have the list with you, or are we going to speak about it more in depth next week?
I do not have the entire list with me. I only have the ones I've tested out, noted. So
cool.
The
so next week you'll give us the whole like is Terbodore worth your moolah,
pretty
or
much.
You better off just buying Nespresso capsules?
Pretty much.
Real
For
capsule.
now, I can say the yellow capsule is nice. It's a very strong vanilla. And
I love
the purple
vanilla.
capsule is a bit more laid back. It's a conservative flavor. It tastes like basic Arabica, just with a hint of flavor.
But that's nice though. Okay, hold on. I know this is just a preview. I'm sorry. I know we're like running away with this. You said I mentioned carbonated cans of coffee. That's weird, right? Because who makes carbonated coffee? Like, you get carbonated drinks, but carbonated coffee?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even the Nescafe cans, they're never sparkly.
Correct.
They never have fizz or anything. So it was quite a new experience. And in that sense,
did the caffeine fizzle on your tongue?
No, not really. To be honest, it's more like, you remember way back. I don't know if it's still a thing, but my mom had this sparkling water machine that you just put the 2-liter
Soda Stream.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It tastes like that. It goes away just as quick as well. You open the can, it's there for a few minutes and then it's gone.
Okay. So, that's look, I saw these things. I was like, we need to get them. We need to try them. We need to review them. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast at all in the past, but I don't eat or consume sugar or anything carbonated. So, of course, naturally, Edward became the guinea pig.
Naturally. Gosh.
All right, cool, Ed. So you'll get back to us next week in terms of a full-on review of these things.
Yeah. I definitely will.
Look, our reviews and preview section's a little short this week, not because we don't have anything in the works, because we kind of always do.
Pretty much always.
And so we will tell you more next week.
Yeah.
Of the things that we can't speak about this week.
As always.
Now, with stuff we can speak about. Okay, now, I think we have mentioned Apex Legends in one of the earlier episodes for season 2. I'm a big fan. I just enjoy the game. Why? It's because it's fun and I enjoy being a champion. For those of you who aren't sure what I'm talking about, Apex Legends is a battle royale title where 60 people all fight to be crowned champions within an arena that has a ring that slowly gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, why I've gravitated towards this particular title is because of just how unique and interesting all of the characters are. So there are currently 16 characters and all of them are wholly different to each of the others. So sure, there's certain elements where they play similarly, obviously, because it's a game, so all of them have to play in a certain way, but they're all unique enough to be adapted to your particular play style. Now, because I've been playing it for a while, there are a few things that I sort of looked at and was like, yeah, people need to know, well, people should know these certain tips for if they're going to play Apex. And I suppose most of this came out of either my own learning experience because I did some really dumb things, or just being so severely irritated by what other people were doing that I felt I needed a space to say, please don't do that. And so I created a list of Apex Legends tips for veterans and noobs alike.
It's actually good, to be fair. I've played.
I don't know. I'm just going to give you guys a very brief overview of
Yeah.
just a few of the things. So, if you're an Apex Legend player, you'll know that communication is key. I guess in any battle royale title, communication is key. How else are you supposed to communicate with your teammates in order to win the match and be crowned a champion? In Apex Legends, there are duos and trios, meaning you can either partner up with one person or partner up with two people. And in that kind of a scenario, what the game does, because communication is so essential, if you have a microphone connected, it is automatically on. Now, on the whole, this is generally a good thing because it prompts people to communicate, and communication leads to victory. Where it's not so cool is where people decide to just leave the mic on, and then you can hear squabbling or some TV show in the background or sex noises, whatever people think sex sounds like, etc., and so on and so forth. And it's actually just super irritating. So the tip is, if you're using a mic or if you know the mic is on, mute it if you're not going to speak or actually speak.
Actually, to be fair, this is just a general internet rule. Because I've joined so many conferences now and so many webinars, whatever you call them, and people, actual journalists, will just leave their mics on all the time.
And then you can just hear them doing whatever it is that they're doing in the back, right?
Yes. Like just everyone screaming.
So now, to elaborate a little bit on this as well, Apex Legends in terms of communication, because some people might not want to talk, right? That's obviously one of the tenets of being online. If you don't want to speak, you don't have to, right? So Apex has a unique ping system, which allows you to ping items in the game to do things. So whether it's you want to go this direction, or you want to open this box, or you need this kind of ammo, the game allows for it without you needing to actually speak to people in your team. And one of the best parts about the ping system is that you can actually also ping enemies. And why I like it so much, and why I wish people used it the way that it's meant to be used. And often when you're playing with strangers, they often do, but some people are just, I'm sorry, some people are just idiots. Anyway, why it's so good is because in a 3D space of a video game, you only often see your viewpoint. It's a little bit different to, like, let's say you and a mate are standing together, in the real world. You could be like, look at that ball on the right. They would know what you're looking at because their point of view is now similar to yours. Because it's similar to yours because you're both in the same 3D space. In a video game, it's a bit different. You actually don't really know what your character, what your teammate's character is looking at, because you don't have that 360-degree perception around you. It's very much a 180, if that, maybe 90 degrees. So the ping system allows you to ping an enemy. And when they do that, it creates a marker on the screen so that your counterparts can actually turn, swivel, or aim their fire there. It's actually fantastic. And it works so well.
Yep. I'm actually surprised Apex were the first to do it, because it's just amazing.
I think all battle royale titles need it, to be perfectly honest. I know that Call of Duty has kind of implemented something similar, but my understanding is it's just not as effective as what Apex is doing. Now, another tip is, and for those, this is, I think, is also for pretty much any battle royale title. Switching to another weapon is faster and better than reloading your current weapon in the heat of battle.
Yep.
This is just the basic of, like, in my experience, there have been so many times where I've died because I was reloading instead of switching to another gun. Specifically in that heat of the moment, you're pounding metal into some enemy combatant, and then boom, your gun is like, haha, sorry, bitch, gonna reload now. And you're like, no. So just basically just switch to another gun and continue pumping lead into the opposition, because you know that they're not gonna stop. So that's another tip. The last two, I would say, are based around recovery and revival of teammates. Now, in Apex Legends, two things happen to you when you get knocked out. So, first of all, you get knocked down, which means that you're alive for a certain period of time. And if one of your teammates gets to you, they can actually revive you and you can continue playing immediately. The second part of it is if a teammate doesn't get to you in time, or if another teammate just kills you outright, you die, but then your banner is left over. And what that means is one of your teammates can collect the banner and then revive you from a respawn station. Now, what's great about these elements, is that it gives your teammates the opportunity to come back. And the more your teammates are around, the higher your chance of survival and thus becoming champions. What is irritating, however, is if you're not playing with people who are friends and are in a party of yours, 90% of the time, what will happen is the moment somebody gets knocked down and then killed, they won't even give you the option of you recovering their banner. They'll just quit the game. Now, that is immensely irritating because there's meant to be some level of camaraderie when playing a battle royale title like this. After all, you're in a team, you're meant to be together to try and win. So if you're in trios, let's say 3 people, it means that every other team in the game also has 3. So if someone doesn't give your other teammates a chance to revive you or recover you, you're then at an immediate disadvantage when they quit. So please, don't do that. Just wait. Give other teammates a chance, because there's a very good chance that most of them will actually try to help you. Now, in terms of reviving, and this goes part and parcel with giving your teammates a chance, if one of your teammates goes down, I know that the immediate instinct is to go and revive them. And again, this is Q for almost all battle royale titles. Leave them. I don't mean leave them to die. I just mean leave them and dispose of the rest of the enemy team. So if you're playing a trios game, you know that teams consist of 3 people. Now, if you've downed 2, all right, and then you go and try and revive your teammate, that third one is going to come and nail you. And that could be the deciding factor between moving on to the next round or dying and having to start over. So yeah, those are some really basic and you would think common Apex tips, but so many people just don't adhere to them.
Yep, it's actually bad.
It's
In
really
terms of
bad.
the random tip, where people will just quit out of games, we've won games from getting downed and then raising. Like if let's say me and Ian is playing, or you and I are playing,
Yeah.
I've literally won games where I've been down at the start. Someone just quit because there's some random who
Yep.
think we're noobs, and then I get raised and we end up winning. So that guy just cheated himself out of a win by
Correct.
quitting out. So
Correct.
there's
That's
that.
also true. That's the other end of the spectrum. You know,
Mm.
also, I've also sometimes found how sometimes, like, I'll get, like, as an example, I'll get raised, and then as I'm raised and I make it down, my other 2 teammates go down. Now, if they didn't take the time to help me raise, I wouldn't, the game would have ended. But more often than not, one of you can come back and actually turn the tide. Because generally, when that happens, the other teammates are already super low on health. So when you get back, it's look, I don't know, look, it's just be kinder, just just give people a chance. Hey, listen, if you're a Lifeline main and you play Apex, just know we're watching you, okay? Because y'all bitches can revive. Yeah, Edward, yeah.
Hi. I'm a Lifeline main, so
Gosh, the reason we're mentioning this, and if you're not familiar with the game, it's because a lifeline can revive a teammate without staying over them. So the way revives generally work is, one of your teammates will come to you, they'll do the prompt, and the prompt is taking a syringe and stabbing it into your teammate, and then waiting for the revive timer to end. But a lifeline doesn't have to wait. They can just throw down a robot that revives you, and then the lifeline can carry on going their merry way. But the number of times
I know.
lifelines don't revive. With video games in the mind, for those of you who are watching the video, you'll notice that there are a few things in the background. And also, you might see that I'm wearing a unique t-shirt. For those of you who are listening, we're going to speak about the Pokemon 25th anniversary. And if you want to know what's in the background, it's a really cool Pokemon bag, a Pikachu plush, and I'm wearing a Pokemon Ball t-shirt, which I might add are all thanks to Nintendo South Africa. It was very kind,
Yeah.
extremely unexpected, but most welcome because you all know I am a huge fan.
On that note, it is the Pokemon Tack shirt on the Nintendo store. So there you go.
Okay. For those of you who want to go through there, we don't own royalties or anything.
It's not ad sponsored or anything, just saying.
So, Pokemon 25. Gosh, it makes me feel old.
Yeah, I was going to say. Pretty much as old as most of us.
Jeez. How is it? It feels like just the other day where I was rushing into the house to catch the next episode of Pokemon on SABC. I've forgotten which one. I think it was SABC 1 or 2. 2?
Yeah.
Because they also used to have like Dragon Ball. So what great memories. I actually want to share my journey to Pokemon actually began because of my mom. So I was in high school. Oh gosh, make me sound so old. Um, and I really wanted a Game Boy, a Game Boy Color, and for a long time, it's one of those things that I wanted. And you know how it is. Sometimes your parents can't afford, or whatever the case is, right? And I remember the one day, my mom picked me up from school, and she was like, "Look under the seat. I've got you something." And I was like, oh, "Okay, And so I pull out this packet, and it was a Game Boy Color and Pokemon Yellow. And I don't know, I was just, it's a memory I'll never forget because it was just so unexpected, you know? Um, and which was amazing. And I still fondly, it's still one of my favorite Game Boys, to be honest with you. It was that see-through purple. And then, of course, that got me into Pokemon. And I have been playing ever since then. And then, of course, naturally, before getting the actual Game Boy game, and this is, I don't know, most people played the game before they moved on to the cards, but I actually started with the cards before moving on to the game, which is obviously why it was related like that, because I started collecting and then I loved it so much and I was like, now I need to play the game, because of Game Boy.
Yeah.
And it's still something that's with me today. If you've seen my YouTube channel, you'll know that I have done some card unboxings. I know I haven't done them anymore in a while, but I will possibly consider doing them again in the future. But other than that, look how cool this merch is if you're watching the video. So 25 years, I still know the theme song off by heart. I've watched all the movies, including the recuts that are on Netflix. And it's just around. Pokemon has always been around. And I love how even today, a lot of younger people are thoroughly enjoying it. And I like that. I love that element of it.
Yeah.
It brings people together. All right. So, Ed, do you have any fond memories? I mean, I don't know if you're much of a Pokemon fanatic as I am.
Honestly, I'm more of a Digimon boy than Pokemon.
Oh, please, no, don't come here with your peasantness.
But gosh. I do have fond memories of collecting the Tazos we used to get, which was this plastic and metal little round things we used to get in crisp packets. And I had an entire Spar bag full of the stuff, which is just a plastic bag for those who don't know, full of the stuff. And I ended up just throwing them out. So there's that.
Okay, well, all mine burnt in a fire. So... Same
that
thing.
Went dark.
I actually used to have the most incredible Pokemon collections. I mean, you see today where people are selling these base set editions, mostly first editions, for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, I had 3 Charizard holograms from the base set. Fine, it wasn't first edition base set, but they were each valued at about $500. Poof. In flames. The way they were meant to go. Anyway, before we're not going to, it's wonderful to reminisce about Pokemon. Perhaps we'll speak about Pokemon again at a future date. Well, one of the most interesting things that came out of this 25th anniversary, and no, it's not Post Malone, okay? I still don't know why he was even there doing whatever he was doing for Pokemon. Anyway, it's to do with Pokemon Arceus.
Arceus.
Arceus?
It looks like a Roman name, which would be Arceus.
Okay,
So.
Arceus. So Pokemon...
Got it.
It doesn't sound very good. Arceus. Like Arceus. Okay, fine. Arceus? What did you say?
Arceus, I think.
Arceus. So it's Arceus. This is very much like everybody in the world being like it's Cthulhu, but I'm like it's Cthulhu. So, you know. So
you.
Pokemon. So Pokemon Arceus or Arceus has been announced for 2022. It builds on from Pokemon Sword and Shield, which Edward, strangely enough, thoroughly enjoyed, and I was somewhat disappointed with. Even though I'm a huge fan of the series, there wasn't enough. Anyway, to try and summarize this, the new game is going to come out in 2022, and it looks like what everybody has been wanting for a very long time, and that's basically Pokemon meets Breath of the Wild, whereby you run around a map, you see all the Pokemon living their wonderful lives, and then you toss Pokeballs at their head so you can catch them or battle them. Because, that's humanity in a nutshell.
Yeah, just battle animals. To me, it looks too
Now,
cutesy.
what's really great about this, right, is how different it's going to be. Now, all of the previous Pokemon games, including the very first one, when you start, there already is something like a Pokemon League, and you go and you battle trainers, and you want to become a trainer, and that's kind of the whole spiel for every single Pokemon game that's ever come out. Now, with Pokemon Arceus, it's all about feudal Japan. So this is a time before there was a Pokemon League, before Pokemon trainers even existed. So it's all about the formation of those elements in the Pokemon universe. And this has me incredibly excited because, they're now going to be, it seems like they're going to be looking at something totally unique, a really fresh opportunity to help build the lore and the world of Pokemon because people have questions. Who came up with the Pokeball? What does it mean? How does it work? I mean, we've spoken about Pokeballs in the past in season 1, how the new technology Pokeball works, but how did Pokeballs work in feudal Japan? I mean, that was centuries ago. So it's a very, very interesting and very unique take on the Pokemon franchise. And what's even more interesting about it is that it takes place in the Sinnoh region, which was actually the 4th core location in the Pokemon franchise. And that's after Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn. And what makes it even more interesting, again, going further, is because there isn't a trainer or a Pokemon League or whatever the case is. When you begin the game, you can actually have a choice of one of 3 Pokemon, but they're not from the Sinnoh region. They're actually from other different regions. So your options are a Rowlet, which is actually from the Alola region, which is grass flying. There is a Cyndaquil, which is from the Johto region, which is fire. And then an Oshawott, which is from the Unova region, which is water. And I find that super interesting that the series is going to be looking at Pokemon from its very beginnings and how there was this one scientist who kind of had already traveled to explore and find Pokemon. It's super interesting. Ed, what do you think? Like, what do you think they're going to do with this? I mean, it's it's almost like a reboot, like a blank slate.
See, it sounds like a reboot. To me, the footage at least looks too cutesy. And also, I'm not entirely certain what's going on because you say it's set in feudal Japan or just references feudal Japan.
No, it's set in feudal Japan.
So how do Pokeballs work?
That's exactly my point. So I've looked a little bit into it, and essentially it's a wooden device. And when it's used and it sucks in a Pokemon, it emits steam. So I think they're kind of going like very steampunk for
Maybe.
the whole thing.
Okay.
But even then, no, but it leaves you wondering how.
Yeah.
What kind of tech do they have to? I mean, this Pokeball, they're tiny. Pokeballs are small.
Yeah, it's
like so. Like, how do you put in this animal that can be the size of like an SUV into a ball that can fit into your hand?
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll answer those specifics, but it is very interesting that they're going that far back to talk about the origins of Pokemon. And then, of course, with Arceus, which is allegedly, it's a legendary Pokemon, and apparently Arceus is kind of like it shapes everything in the world or something to that effect. You know,
Yeah.
the law is just a little bit wishy washy there. But with that said, what I'm hoping that they will do is I'm really, really hoping we'll get a strong narrative adventure because, now that they're taking away that the typical archetype of a Pokemon game, which is you want to be a trainer, so you go and you battle other trainers and you become the head of the Pokemon League. They're taking all of that away. So what is there? There isn't anything other than a story now. A
Yeah.
story of you on a journey to maybe learn more about Arceus.
See, the entire premise of the game begates the fact that it needs a story.
Well,
Let's
you
put
mean
it
you
this
mean
way.
traditional Pokemon games, right? Traditionally,
Yeah,
there's no need for a story. You know what it is. It's
exactly.
rags to riches, basically. Whereas
Now,
now it's just it's open.
yeah.
You know.
And without a story, it'll be a bland open world Zelda clone.
But that's what makes it interesting. So apparently Arceus is the epicenter of the game, the story. It's all about this mythical Pokemon and what it means. And I'm hoping it'll be an interesting narrative whereby maybe the scientist has heard about it and then you go forward and maybe there are life lessons along the way, and this Pokemon comes and it teaches you things. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But either way, it is incredibly intriguing. Now, as I mentioned before, the game takes place in the Sinnoh region. Now, for people who are familiar with Pokemon and the Pokemon game franchise, you'll know that this region is not new. It actually occurred in Pokemon Diamond and Pokemon Pearl. Now, with those two games on the mind, Nintendo is also refreshing both of those titles, which will be releasing in Nintendo Switch towards the end of 2021. Now, it's not a total remake in the sense of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it has the look and visual style of Pikachu Let's Go. Or Pikachu Eevee and it was
It was Let's
Pokemon
Go
Eevee
Pikachu
Let
and Let's
Go
Go
or
Eevee,
Pokemon
yeah.
Pikachu Let's Go, yes. So
Yeah.
it has that style. And what they've done is they've taken the old Game Boy games and they've made it 3D in that sense. But of course, it has the same soundtracks and the same gameplay and so on and so forth. So those will be releasing at the end of this year. And I think from a nostalgia perspective, I think those will be pretty great, to be honest. And then they're called Shining Diamond and Shining Pearl, naturally, because shine bright like a diamond.
No. I find it weird though that both are shining instead of something else, like Shining Diamond and, I don't know, Clear Pearl.
No,
because
that's
that
not
used
how
to be
Pokemon
the
works.
thing. It used to be. Like, it was Leaf Green, Fire Red, Water Blue.
Oh, but that's
used to be
different. That's
No,
not
it
the
wasn't.
same.
Even Ruby. I forgot the Ruby's name, but even Ruby was different than Emerald and Pearl. all the
Was
way
it
back.
though?
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, with animals on the mind, I say animals because Pokemon are animals. I came across some interesting information about cephalopods.
Mhm.
If you don't know what a cephalopod is, think squids and octopus.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Cthulhu's.
Yeah, pretty much. Cthulhu is just a dragon octopus.
Yes,
So-
basically. Now, what is fascinating about these creatures is how little we know about them.
Yep.
To be perfectly honest, which is why Cthulhu is a legit creature that many people do believe exists. The giant squid and the underlord of the oceans and so on and so forth. Now, what is really fascinating about the new research that has come about from cephalopods is how they've passed a test that is generally given to human toddlers. Therefore, showcasing that these creatures have above average intelligence. So, just to give some insight into this test, it's called the Stanford Marshmallow Experiment. And it basically revolves around, if you're looking at a human child or a toddler, is whereby you put a marshmallow in front of the child and you say, if you can wait, you'll get a second marshmallow and then you can eat both. So it's a fairly easy test. And of course, if the child can wait that long, it proves forethought and that they're thinking about it and that they also have the determination to wait. All right. Now, because of how simple the test is, it can be adapted to humans. So they've actually done this test on primates and parrots and things like that as well, which also have shown above average intelligence. Now, when they did this for cephalopods, it was actually super interesting because no one has previously thought that these truly advanced creatures have these abilities. So what they did is they adapted the Stanford marshmallow test specifically for the cephalopods, and they conducted two individual tests. The first one had three boxes, whereby the first box had shrimp, which is the cephalopod's preferred food, with another box that had, I think it was crab meat, which is something they don't enjoy, and then a third box with their favorite food, but it was inaccessible. Now, each of these boxes also had unique patterns on them, whereby a circle meant that the box was open, so that's where they put the crab meat. A triangle meant that that box would open after a period of time, so therefore it would show if the animal had learned how to wait for their preferred meal. And then the square meant that that box would never open. So, by having these three things on each of the different foods, it allowed the scientists to determine whether or not the cephalopods could actually learn from this experiment. What is most fascinating about the research is that it proved that the cephalopods have the mental capacity to wait for their preferred food. So they don't just go for the first thing if they know that waiting a little bit longer allows them to have what they actually enjoy.
But now, my question is, how do they know that they have to wait in the first place? It's just not another barrier.
So in other words, it has to do with the signs on the cubes within the tank. But something that I forgot to mention is how if the cephalopod goes for the crab meat, which is in the open box, then the shrimp automatically disappears from the box that only opens at a later stage.
Oh,
So in other words,
okay.
the cephalopod can see its favorite food, but it can't access it. And basically it understands that if it goes for the crab meat, the favorite food disappears. But if it
Okay.
waits before going for the crab meat, so if it waits a little while, then the shrimp actually comes out.
That's cool.
Isn't
That's
that
very
cool?
cool. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
That's it's pretty awesome. It's actually incredible. Now, um, they actually took this test even further, and they did another test whereby they once again it had to do with favorite food and non-favorite food. And they would have like a gray square and a white square. So let's say the gray square had the favorite food, and the white square had the non-favorite food. And they would learn that every time they selected the correct square, they would get their food as a reward. And what they eventually did is they swapped it around. And they found that the cephalopods, which had learned to wait for their food in the previous experiment, were quicker to learn that the signs had switched for actually getting a double reward. Isn't that
Ah.
incredible?
That's actually
Hey?
super cool.
Right?
And that shows why Shigarath and whoever else will be taking us over and killing us
Cthulhu.
all. Jeez.
Now, but hold on, there's a little bit more to this. So this was really fascinating because I really came across that one study, and then I ended up coming across something else again. And this has to do with the fact that that cephalopods and other octopuses can actually, I mean, of course, they can feel pain, but they remember pain. Now, there's a, from my understanding, in terms of the animal kingdom, there's a big difference between an animal reacting to pain and an animal changing behavior because of pain. So, in other words, the one would be, let's say, there's a hot piece of like a coal or fire or something. When an animal burns itself, so it knows not to, the initial reaction is to move away and not go back. All right, but in the cephalopod study, what they did is I'll give you just a brief idea of how the study worked. Is they would actually inject some sort of I think an acid into the skin of the cephalopods. But my understanding also is that it's fairly humane. It's basically just like lemon juice on a paper cut is how they explain it. So in other words, it doesn't last forever and it eventually goes away. And they found that by doing that to the cephalopods in a certain point in the tank, the cephalopods would actually avoid that that part of the tank, knowing that that's where the pain comes from. Where most other animals will just react to pain, they won't then avoid it. They'll continue going back every now and again.
Mm.
The cephalopods actively engaged by not going back there. In addition to that, wherever they were wounded, they would actually continue to try and they call it like preening themselves, in that location because that's where they were sore, which is also something that
Okay.
most other animals, as far as I understand, don't do, or maybe like things like fish don't do. But then it goes even further than that because the way that it would work is that they also knew where they could get a healing jab. So one place is where they could get hurt. The other place is where they know that the scientists will inject something to take the pain away. And they would actively search out that location. Isn't that like,
That's cool.
it's just, so basically what the studies show is that they have an understanding of when something causes pain, when something takes away pain, and
Mm.
that they obviously feel pain. That they're incredibly neurologically complex. Apparently, that's my general takeaway. So the
They're
next time
smart.
y'all eat calamari, just know.
They felt that shit.
Yes. Oh, that's terrible. You understand why people choose not to eat animals because you know what's fascinating about all of this research is that there's just so much we still don't know. I mean, we previously spoke about how pigs play video games. I mean, no one thought until somebody decided to put video games in front of them, even despite how rudimentary they were, that they had the cognitive capacity to do that. So therefore, it does open like you understand why there are ethical debates around how we're treating these animals. Like I'm all for enjoying a beef burger. Don't get me wrong here, all right? But it would be nice to know that the animals were being ethically treated if I'm to enjoy that, if
Mm.
that makes sense. And I suppose that's where the bigger issue comes in is that 90% of these animals are not ethically treated. And they have done studies about how, cows do feel pain and they feel anxiety knowing that they're going to be slaughtered. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. Not too much. It's just the discussion I'm trying to put here is, we don't care what your lifestyle is like and what you choose to do or how you choose to live, but it's how there's so much we still don't know about the animal kingdom, especially when it comes to the oceans.
Yeah.
Cthulhu becoming y'all.
Yeah. For vengeance.
Yeah. Well,
Gosh.
it begs the question, what if they're aliens? What if we are a you know how you get a host, right? And then you get a kind of a creature that latches onto the host and it becomes a, help me here with the word, Edward. It's not a
Parasite.
symbiotic relation. Here we go. Thank you. What if we are the parasites
We
to
are.
the animals like cephalopods and dolphins and the wonderful aliens we have on this planet?
It
Hey?
actually it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. So
Well, at least we do have some ingenuity, like creating tear guns.
is
And I
that
don't mean tear
ingenuity
gas guns.
though? Oh, okay.
just I was seeing your confusion there for a
Yeah,
second.
I was like,
No, I'm actually talking about a gun that makes bullets from your tears. So now, when bitches make you cry, you can go and nail them. Not in the nice way, with lead, is what I mean.
well, with tears.
Which it gives like a new meaning to killing them with killing them with sadness, I suppose.
Well, you could cry from happiness.
Oh, that's true. I
Killing
suppose
them
that's
with
true. Not that you'd
happiness.
want to shoot somebody from being happy. I mean, that doesn't really. Anyway,
Yeah, let's not
essentially,
discuss the moralities.
yeah. There's an artist and designer by the name of Yifei Chen, and she created this super cool tear gun. It's just the most fascinating device, and essentially the way it works is there's a silicone cup that catches the tears as they fall, and then that goes into a container where those tears are individually frozen and turned into bullets that you can actually fire from the gun itself. It looks cool and apparently actually functions. Now, when Yifei was asked about why she created this thing, it was part of a project, first of all, but more so because of the stresses that she was dealing with while taking part in this course at the Design Academy Eindhoven. So much so that at her graduation, she actually fired her gun at the department head. I mean, that be some cojones, okay?
Hey, it's just a water gun. So
Well, I mean, it's an ice gun. Let's be real here. I mean, technically, salty,
a salty
salty
ice gun.
Assault at ice.
Oh,
Okay, no, that was a bad joke. Sorry.
An assault weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, what are we becoming, Edward?
Boomers.
Now, with this unique invention on the mind, there's another one that we also came across, and it has to do with the electric unicycle. I mean, did you know that there were electric unicycles? I didn't.
I don't know how. Like,
Well, I mean, that was my initial thought as well. And then the more I thought about it and the more I realized how they work, I realized it's basically built off Segway technology. You know Segways?
yeah,
Where you hold balance on them and you tilt forward and you tilt back?
yeah.
Yeah, so essentially it's just a one single wheel with a huge ass gyroscope on it to keep standing up. And that's how you move. Hey?
Okay.
Electric unicycle, y'all.
Okay, that's actually, it makes sense.
But hold on. There's obviously more to this story than just being an electric unicycle. All right.
Yeah. We need the
And that is
deets.
because a designer by the name of Alessandro Russo Silviera created a broom add-on so that you can live your best Harry Potter Quidditch life.
Well,
I mean, no, okay, hold on, wait. Before you judge,
okay.
there is a video. We will link to it as like 90% of the stuff we speak about. We always link to everything. It actually legitimately looks good. Like, fine, it's a single broom attachment, right? So it's not like that amazing, but the way it then works, the whole like leaning forward, leaning back, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
In this video, the guy has like his like fake ass Harry Potter cloak on and he's driving around and it looks like he's legit floating on a broom.
Well, I guess if the wheel is thin enough and the frame of the unicycle is thin enough, it will look like.
Listen, it looks legit cool. All right. And I looked into buying one, naturally, because reasons. And guess what?
You got a miniature version of it from Wish.
You can't.
Uh,
Because his original Kickstarter for these unicycles with the broom attachments has been taken down for legal reasons.
What?
Yes.
From Harry Potter or something?
Yep, I think Warner Brothers and their bevy of of lawyers have come down on this poor guy whose idea honestly is legit incredible.
But
I mean
HP wasn't the first franchise to use witches on brooms.
yeah, but you see, if you watch this video, the likeness is too similar. Like even like a bit of the shape of the way the broom looks, kind of thing.
That's sad.
Also, every single person who's seen this references it to Harry Potter, which is you are right. It shouldn't, but it is what it is. But do you want to know what I think is most fascinating about this and why I wish it actually came to fruition?
Why?
Quidditch.
Except for the
Quidditch. No,
okay.
Quidditch.
Quidditch.
This actual Quidditch. So the actual balls you can buy to play Quidditch, with the exception of the snitch. I don't know how you'd factored that one in, but
a drone.
The fact is, yeah, actually, oh my gosh, Edward, did you just make Quidditch a reality in 2021?
I guess so.
What?
Let's not get sued, Hans. We'll call it.
No, but
we'll call it message.
But listen to this. But just imagine, right? So all the players have to be on an electric unicycle.
Okay.
And then you guys, you skirt around the field and you throw the different balls to each other while trying to catch the drone snitch. It's amazing.
Imagine being a beater, just slam someone with a hockey stick.
Exactly.
Oh, not a hockey stick, a club.
Listen, this needs to happen. All right. I can foresee this being a real thing, actually something super cool to watch, and I'm all for it. Yeah. So much so that I'm sure the vibrations could be used for many other things. NSFW. So, right, y'all. You know we're talking about brooms, right? I found an article that goes all the way back to 2003. Yeah, we're talking ancient times now. Of a Nimbus 2000 broom based on the Harry Potter franchise from Mattel. Yes, the same company that makes Ken and Barbie. That vibrated so hard, it eventually got sold in sex shops because people were using it for other intentions.
I applaud the ingenuity.
Listen, hashtag they knew. Okay, when they made this vibrating broomstick product. Okay.
Look, a company that makes Ken and Barbie, they obviously knew.
I mean, what else did you think people were going to do with this? And it was fairly small. It was maybe like, what, 1.5 meters?
It was a kid's toy.
Yeah, it's a children's toy for this highly vibrating wand. I mean, highly vibrating broomstick made for children.
This long round stick.
No, but like legit. Apparently, the vibrations were so intense that some kids were complaining about it, and that's why the parents were so upset.
Some kids were complaining about it, and the parents took it. They tried it out, and then they weren't complaining it anymore.
No, they still did. They complained on like Amazon.
Of course,
and
there would be a
bad
Karen
reviews
complaining about it, ruining it for everyone.
Anyway, it's just a fascinating little tidbit into what, sometimes people don't think, I guess, in this situation. I mean, they knew. How do you not know that that's what's going to happen? And why make the vibration that intense?
The thing is, you could argue that they were just being innocent about it, that no one's going to think this much about it. No one's going to try this.
Anyway, we'll link to the article. By all means, you can go back and read it. I mean, I was still in high school when this came out, so this was like pre like proper internet. Hence why nobody knew about it until much later on in life.
Well, speaking of things no one knows about, did you know that? Okay, well, we all actually knew about this. Headlines: some people get sad after sex. But it's not a thing many people speak about. So I guess that's actually what I'm getting at.
Okay. So we've gone from happy mistakes to being sad.
Yes. I'm sad because Karen bemoaned the broomstick, which is probably now cancelled.
Both broomsticks, right? So you can't even get the one that's for the electric unicycle because of lawyers, and you can't get the other one because of upset moms.
Yeah.
Parents.
Yeah, it's sad. Okay, it's a sad world we live in.
Actually, do you know what we need to look up? I'm sorry, I know I'm not interjecting here, and I'm taking over your sad thing here. There must be Harry Potter sex toys. There has to be.
Oh yeah.
Maybe wands, dildos shaped like wands. Hey,
listen.
This is okay. We're putting a nib in this. We need to find. I want to know. If
there are Marvel's Avengers sex toys, there are definitely Harry Potter sex toys.
Oh, can you just imagine the Wingardium Leviosa? Anyway, yes, okay. Being sad, sorry. We're too happy for the sadness.
So obviously, we've spoken about women falling asleep at night after sex. We've spoken about it being a cliche that men falls asleep. But we've never, and no one ever, really speaks about people being sad after sex.
That's true. I mean, you see, well, look, the only reason why, right, is because endorphins are released from coital
which
interaction.
Makes you happy.
So, yes, correct. Okay, so there we go. So that's traditional understanding, but we all know that you can be wrong, just like last week or the week before where we spoke about protein in semen.
Anyway. So, now that we know people can get sad after sex, it's actually called Post Coital Disorder. So
they gave it a name?
Mental disorder. Yes.
PCD.
No, this is PCD. That's exactly it. It's large. It's widely known that women get PCD sometimes. In fact, it's about 46% of women get sad after sex, and this is because of a lot of factors such as childhood trauma, sexual
Oh, it's
abuse,
terrible.
and
Jeez.
just fears generally. That's why it's a disorder. It's all in the head mostly. And so it's nothing to do with hormones, which is also fascinating me, and that's why I went into this.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
Really, because I mean, we know, right, that endorphins often come out from these kinds of excursions, and
mhm,
that makes you feel good. And I mean, they're not necessarily related to hormones, but it's a part of the physiological process. So
yeah,
I'm genuinely curious now, Edward, why when you're saying that this is a not necessarily in the mind, but it's an actual disorder that
yeah,
affects the mind, whereby it goes against a physiological process.
yeah.
How fascinating is that?
Okay, so trauma hits different ways. Obviously, I think what happens is when someone goes into shock, especially at the event of bad
Yeah. Yeah, when
events,
something bad, yeah.
it physically changes your body in many ways you don't even know, and this might be one of them. So let's say someone was abused as a child.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be that their endorphins just don't hit as hard anymore. And I think this is what this was getting at. Since
Wow.
46% of women experience PCD or have experienced PCD in their lives, um,
Wow.
uh,
Jeez.
the same university professor from the Queensland University of Technology, called Robert Schweitzer, he was the same one that managed to find out that 46% of women was experiencing this. He
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to find out more about men because, in his words, both sex and disorders are a universal thing. It's not a gender
Correct. Yeah,
specific
it's not
thing.
it's not a gender specific thing, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he wanted to figure out, well, since we know about most women who experience this, why not men as well? And he ended up surveying about 1,200 men across
That's a lot, yeah.
78 countries. Um, and he sent them a 14 question survey, and
Post
the
nut clarity.
about post-nut clarity. Um, and what ended up happening was they sent back these answers, and he ended up studying some of these men even more, about what they experience after sex,
Okay.
specifically emotionally. And it turns
Okay.
out that, 41% of these men ended up being candidates for his studies and ended up experiencing PCD in some form or another.
Wow.
With 40% of the men that came back saying that yes, they either experienced it in the last 4 weeks, sorry,
Mhm.
or in the immediate time that this
Yeah.
study happened. Now, this was 2 years ago. I should clarify.
Now, is
Um,
this only after sex?
yes, as far as I know, it's only after sex. They mentioned nothing about uh,
So, is it linked to orgasm?
I think it's linked to the fact that the act of sex, not the orgasm itself. The reason I think this, it's not mentioned in a study, and
Yeah.
to see the
Yeah.
entire study, I need to pay like $150 for or something. So I'm only going off sources that I managed
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
find.
No worries.
But I think it's the act of sex because, as mentioned here, that many of the men experience this because of the fear of abandonment, because of childhood
I
trauma and
see. I
sexual
see.
abuse
I
that happened in
see.
the past. And as we all know, many men do not speak out about sexual abuse.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
actually, it's difficult for every gender,
Yeah.
but more so because of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is a real thing. You know, where he's a man, you can't have emotion, you shouldn't show whatever, whatever, whatever.
Yeah. Cry it off.
Look, what I wanted to say, which I find this, I'm actually so glad you mentioned that because
Mhm.
while you've been talking, I've been thinking to myself, endorphins. Okay, we
Mhm.
know that that is part and parcel of the sexual process, not just the physical activity, but also the release. And while you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, well, what about exercise? You know, exercise is generally one of the medically proven sort of suggestions to overcome depression,
Yeah.
like legitimately, because you know when you look good, you feel good. It also then releases endorphins to help you make you feel better. And, these physiological positives are just better overall. So it's just very interesting to me how, despite the positive physiological aspects of intercourse, how the mental aspect of it actually overpowers it. And again, that's that whole mind over matter.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's incredible. That's incredible, Edward.
Yeah, and the main reason why this particular post stood out for me is because of this very fact that you just mentioned. Toxic masculinity.
Masculinity.
I can't speak today. And because of the fact that I'm all for mental help. I feel that if you need help, you should get help, regardless if it's depression, if it's anything else. And this seems to be an actual thing as well. So the main reason why Professor Scheitzer went out and did the study in the first place was to help men be diagnosed for this kind of thing more easily. Because even though he was the one that spearheaded the female PCD studies, which helped females be diagnosed for it and get help for it, many men still are not diagnosed for it at all. Either they think it's just a phase, or the doctors think it's depression or something else. So it's also misdiagnosed. So thanks to the study,
wow, that's
many men already have been diagnosed correctly, and they have been helped.
Okay,
which is actually
helped in what way? Good. So, do they need to then go for like what I'm asking here? Is it more of a counseling situation where you need to work through your past traumas, versus it being like, for example, in many cases, depression is actually also an imbalance of certain like neuro elements and things like that. So that's why you're often given medication to help balance you out.
Okay, so one of the sources I found specifically mentions psychotronics, which is obviously medicine and mental help as well. It's a general balance of both. So I think, it's just that. It's literally
that's terrible for everybody involved. To be sad after pumping.
Exactly.
No,
so
for shame.
You and your loved one.
It's meant to be glorious, regardless of whether it's a one night stand or a partner that you've had for a while. I mean,
on that note, though, it's allowed to be sad if it wasn't great for you. If you didn't enjoy it, you're allowed to be sad.
No, listen. If you didn't enjoy it, you better be speaking up to that person.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. Please. Unless it's just a one night thing. But I mean, let's just no.
If it was a one night thing, you just sneak out in the
morning. and then feel guilty about it later so that you can get PCD.
There you go.
Man, shame. Okay, that's wow. All right, that's super, super interesting. I had no idea this was a thing. Yeah, I really, really had no idea. No. Not just for men. I mean, just in general, I didn't know that. I mean, I suppose ignorance. But to feel bad afterwards. I mean, it's generally such a wonderful thing. I mean,
and it's for a bunch of reasons as well. So,
I get it now. I get it. Yeah. Wow.
What might make you feel better, though, during the act and everything, might be a good meal.
Now you're speaking my language. Food.
I thought you
now
you're
like speaking.
This, but
now you're.
So I found the most amazing post, and obviously I won't be reading the entire post, but it's all about the best, the essential pre-sex meal.
Any meal.
See, that's the thing. It might not be any meal. Now, I'm going to preface this.
Wait. Before you get into this, what I'll say from my side, is I would imagine nothing too heavy, because you want to sleep, but afterwards, not like tired during. So the lighter the meal, the better. Also, I'd stay away from garlic because of gas. And what I would say is,
go on.
Generally a delicious. So everyone knows I'm on keto. Everyone who's been listening knows that I'm on keto. So my meals are 90% light. So that's why I'm always good to go. Anyway, Edward.
Okay, so you're actually kind of spot on, but also not.
Okay.
So, so, so I found this post, and I'm going to preface this by saying there is no essential meal. This
Of
is
course
all
not.
just opinions
Listen,
from
y'all can
experts.
go at any time, whether you're
Exactly.
ravenous or you've just eaten.
And
Okay.
also, the post has a particular focus on gay couples and gay sex. But
Okay.
if you read further into it, it actually pertains to everyone, because it's literally basic dietary advice.
Hold on. Is it because of anal?
Yes, it's mostly because of anal. So the whole point of this post
So
is
that would then apply to everybody
because everyone likes butt stuff, number one, and also because it's not so much about the anal in the end as it is about the way your body reacts to the deed and the way
this is
you
why
get
I
tired or
said
not tired.
garlic. I know I am super gassy if I've eaten garlic, and the last thing I
No one
need
wants a foof
is to
from-
be is to be like, oh yeah, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, or like, or I don't want to get like too much into it, but like also if you're like eating somebody out and then they're accidentally
and then there's
gassing in your
it's all weird and well, okay, also that, yeah, you don't want to be
look, it's funny and it should be something to
be
laugh
ribbing
about. So like
someone
don't get grossed out by the person doing it. I mean, it's a natural thing.
yeah,
But I mean,
all
it's just
sex
yeah.
in the end. Look, let me put it this way. Usually after sex, lots of gas are emitted anyway. It depends on the moves you
Hashtag
pulled
queef life.
during. Yeah, it depends on how big the gape was, I guess. I don't know these things, but I know and I've seen and I've experienced through video and through real life that lots of gas is exposed afterwards. So don't feel bad about it. Just don't eat garlic.
No, but like for real, that's the first thing that came to my mind. Is like I was so like it was 2 days ago that we had this most amazing meal. There was a lot of garlic in it, and like that night I suffered, and I was like, I'm glad that I'm alone because it would not have been nice for anybody else.
Well, also not chili and pepper because that also makes bad things happen down there.
Okay, well that's a different. That's explosive. And
No. I'm
yeah.
not speaking about poop. I'm speaking about acids.
Oh, right. Oh, no. But also, don't have that on your tongue when you're going down.
Oh,
because
no.
that's what I'm talking about. More so than anything else.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Basically, if your lips be tingling, the other lips should also be left out.
Yeah, it shouldn't be tingling because that's a tingle you don't want to have.
No, if your lips are tingling, do not pass it on.
Yeah, please. Gosh. Anyway, so this guy named Sam Stone, he's the writer for this particular post I found, which is an amazing post. It's worth a read. He went through and asked a bunch of experts about what they would do in order to be ready in terms of food and preparation for sex.
Okay.
Now the first person he asked was an actual adult entertainer. Called Ty Mitchell, I think his name.
That's actually a brilliant, because they would know, right?
Exactly.
They would know.
Who else to ask other than a guy who's doing it for 5 hours a day? Now, he recommends a high protein meal, particularly breakfast. For breakfast, you just need a big meal. He recommends a big, good cup of coffee in the morning. And he says high protein meals usually gets him through the day. And because it's all exercise. 5 hours long, just constant.
That's why they all look so fit, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
They've got thunder thighs and for reasons.
And glutes of steel.
Yeah. But obviously we're not all going at it for 5 hours. We're not all adult entertainers. So Samstone also asked... He also asked a guy named Evan Goldstein, founder and CEO of Bespoke Surgical. Now, he asked this guy, so what do you recommend? And he said, no, not the protein stuff, because we're not all bodybuilders and entertainers. He recommends the fiber stuff, which is basically the more dietary lifestyle thing to recommend.
Yeah, like bread.
Yes, well, whole grains. So not necessarily bread, because most breads are bad for you, to be fair.
Okay.
Whole grain bread.
I don't eat bread, so
I love all brand everything. So there we go. Maybe that's why I'm always like
always ready to go.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, the reason for this is because fibers stay in the body longer. It gives you more energy for quick bursts if you need it. And basically, any fibrous meals and lots of veggies is what he recommends.
Oh, no, it depends on the veggies, hey? Look, I haven't gone through everything that you've said here, right?
Yeah.
But like, the gist of what I'm taking out of this is know your body and know how you react. So, for example, and I know it's not TMI, it's just I'm going to give you examples from my body, right? So, I know that things like garlic, broccoli, and cauliflower should be avoided before that time comes along.
Because but that makes sense.
Otherwise, in my experience, I'm going to be bloated and I'm going to be gassy.
Yes.
So, I can try and clench as much as I want, but if I'm going and we're having a good time, I'm going to fart.
See, that's the thing. I think when he says high fiber and veggies, I think he means the average like healthy meal for the
honestly,
exercising.
I would rather go for something super high protein because that's going to fill you up for longer because protein generally does that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be light. So you won't feel... See, like, the tiredness that I was talking about earlier, it's something that I don't experience anymore because I'm on keto. But for example, people who've eaten like a pasta meal, for example, something like really delicious. There is a reason why we have the saying in South Africa, "Maag is vol, oog is toe."
Yeah.
And that's because when your stomach is full, especially with carbs, you're going to get tired.
Exactly. That's why you don't need the carbs. You shouldn't necessarily go for the bread and the potatoes.
This is why, like, when they were saying now, like, the bread, I was like, that's, to me, that's counterintuitive,
all grain, all wheat.
Oh, well,
anyway,
bread be bread.
so that's another opinion. The third opinion comes from a guy named Sam Moll, who is an actual dietitian. And now this is where the best of the ideas come in. The advice, thank you, come in.
Yeah.
And he says for the average 200-pound 50-year-old who works out 6 days a week, so basically The Rock, the best recommendation is to basically just 2 skinless chicken breasts, a side of couscous, and a braised kale with
why
apples.
Skinless? No, why? I want to have the meat. I want the skin. That's the best part.
Hans, this is what this guy recommends. You're not 50 years old anyway.
So,
or are you?
Well, sometimes the way I feel.
Yeah, the way we feel, right? On the other end, for someone much younger, like a 120-pound, 21-year-old male with a moderate
120 pounds. Do you know how small that is?
I know, right? That is
that's like 60 kilos.
Yeah, that's kind of
who is 60 kilos at 21? Well, my point stands. A dwarf. That's what I actually meant to say.
A halfling person.
A hobbit. Actually, Edward's a hobbit. If y'all have seen his feet, you'll know.
Yeah, maybe. So you recommend
subscribe to OnlyFans.
Please. I'm going to start it this weekend. So you recommend the same meal with one less chicken breast. And that's it. That's pretty much the perfect meal you can have before
what?
sex.
This is like some pseudoscience thing that
I don't know. That's what they recommend.
Listen, y'all. Really. I mean, sure, Ed is giving us some great advice here, but like honestly speaking, eat what you want. Just know that if certain things, like everybody knows their body, you know what is going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. Don't like if you think you might get lucky later on that night, avoid the things you know that your body is going to turn the wrong way, okay? But also at the same time, if you're with your loving partner, by all means, eat whatever y'all want because you know you're both going to be fighting together tonight.
See, but you ideally don't want to. So, if you go to this fancy restaurant and you know you're going to get it on, the last few tips to follow.
But are you getting what I'm saying though? Like,
I am getting what you're saying.
Like one day if I'm married with my wife and she knows that I'm gassy
if you're
from
married,
garlic,
it doesn't matter, Hans.
But that's what I'm saying.
Couples now. I'm not talking to Maria Hahn and myself. I'm talking to the budding lover, the guy who has a Tinder date tonight. I'm talking to that guy, whether he's full of stamina or lightweight AF.
Okay. Fair enough.
Listen, we're just old ass boomers ready to kill over, so the last tips to follow according to this post is to not eat the bread that comes free at the table, to avoid the appetizers.
They just said eating bread.
Not the appetizer, the appetizer. No, they said all grain foods. So like all bran flakes. Go for that.
I would say eat the bread unless it has garlic on it.
Well, yeah, I guess garlic and cheese, because cheese makes you bloated as well. And also skip the dessert for after the sex.
Why?
Because it's dairy.
It's only if you're lactose intolerant.
No, even then, dairy makes you bloated. It makes you sleepy. You don't want to sleep. You want to have fun afterwards. You want to go for round 2. You want to go for round 3.
But you see, the only issue with that is like, you're just talking about now Tinder and one night standing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so
unless you consider that your dessert, because there's possibly a chance you're not getting dessert if you don't have it at the restaurant.
Just take just pull some whipped cream out.
No. This is terrible advice. You know what? Enjoy your life, eat what you want, and let the other person just deal with it.
Or just listen to these and have the best sex imaginable. Okay. And that's it. Oh, also just have 1 or 2 glasses of wine because you want to avoid alcohol, because you can rupture your blood vessels that way and get hemorrhoids if you do bad stuff. So there's that.
What?
Yeah, apparently. So obviously the anal.
So hold on. Wait. Let me get this straight, right?
Yeah.
According to these posts, you need to avoid alcohol, avoid bread, and eat skinless chicken. This sounds like how to get fit in 21 days. Never mind how to have good pumping in the evening.
See, at the end of the day, it's not so much the immediate effect; it's the lifestyle effect. That's what the end of the.
How much sex are you having that you need to change the way you eat?
Well, how good do you want to live, and how much sex do you want to have later if you change the way you eat? See, at the end of the day, it's all about being just healthier, more mindful person.
Okay, fair enough.
And
crazy. And that's the end of NSFW. Look, I enjoyed this episode again, as always. I mean, when do we not enjoy Le Guerrero? But my takeaways, especially for the end sections, eat your best life.
Yeah, eat all the garlic you ever want, whether you have sex or not.
Maybe not make it that great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to myself and Edward ramble on for a wonderful amount of time.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please do let us know. As always, we love your feedback. And I suppose this brings us to the end of Season 2, Episode 4, Ed.
Yeah. That was a good one.
So we look forward to seeing you all next week with some more reviews, previews, life lessons, and interesting NSFWs. And until then, we hope that you all have a wonderful week. Ciao for now.
Bye.